The galaxy had grown silent, not peacefully, but in the uneasy way of civilizations that feared the unknown. For 10,000 years, the Virexian Empire dominated vast stretches of space, its fleets feared across hundreds of star systems. Their ships were titanic, their weapons capable of tearing worlds apart, their culture built on conquest and control. Nothing had ever challenged them until now. On the outer edge of Sector 7, the flagship Crimson Sovereign drifted silently in orbit around a blue and green planet the Virexians had catalogued as primitive. Emperor Dorn reclined in his throne chamber aboard the ship, a giant crystalline structure that pulsed with the Empire's life force. His 3 eyes reflected the swirling starlight outside. He had grown bored with the ease of conquest. Another untouched world, he murmured, voice echoing through the chamber. Perhaps a new sport is in order. General Pike, a veteran strategist of countless campaigns, stood rigid before him. Your Majesty, sensors indicate the inhabitants are technologically primitive. Unarmed beyond simple energy tools. They cannot resist our fleets. Dorn's claws tapped the crystal floor lightly. Perfect. Then we watch. Let us observe how they squirm when fear touches them. On Earth, humans had no idea they were being watched. Cities thrived, technology advanced, but none suspected the shadow of an alien empire at their doorstep. Deep beneath the Arctic ice, the Argus Initiative, a covert human space defense project, monitored anomalous signals. Dr. Elena Voss, chief scientist of the initiative, stared at the display in disbelief. These readings, they're massive energy fluctuations but unlike anything we've ever seen. Not random, not natural, deliberate. Captain Marcus Hale of the orbital defense vessel Aegis entered, the weight of responsibility etched on his face. We've detected an approaching fleet. Unknown ships cloaked until now. We're trying to calculate trajectory and intention. Elena shook her head. Intention? You don't calculate what has no precedent. Whoever, or whatever, they're advanced beyond anything humanity has ever imagined. Marcus clenched his jaw. And we're supposed to do what? Prepare? Adapt. Survive, Elena replied, her voice steady despite the tension. We have no choice. They won't wait for us to catch up. Meanwhile, in the void beyond Earth, the Virexian fleet assembled like a predator circling its prey. Ships the size of mountains glinted in the light of distant stars. Each vessel bristled with weapons that could vaporize entire continents. Scouts sent to the planet had returned with nothing but data, cataloging humans as fragile, ill-prepared, and inconsequential. But even in their confidence, a small ripple of curiosity disturbed the Virexian ranks. Lieutenant Vera, a young officer with the Empire, whispered to her commander as they reviewed human infrastructure from orbit. Sir, the patterns of their cities, their networks, it's irregular. Efficient in ways we don't fully understand. Her commander scoffed. Primitive species. They construct, they destroy. That is all. Yet, something in Vera's instincts told her there was more beneath the surface. On Earth, Marcus and Elena worked tirelessly with their teams to understand the incoming threat. Military simulations projected annihilation if the fleet attacked directly. Conventional strategies would fail. But humans, as they had for millennia, thrived in adversity. They devised countermeasures that relied on unpredictability, creativity, and audacious gambits. Elena leaned over a hollow map of the approaching sector. We can't fight them head-on. But they expect us to behave predictably. If we use misdirection, deception, maybe we can survive the first encounter. Marcus studied her, admiration mixed with concern. You're suggesting we trick a civilization that can destroy us in moments. Exactly, Elena said. And if we survive, we learn. And if we learn, we adapt. As the first scouts approached Earth's atmosphere, cities below were blissfully unaware. Children played in parks, markets thrived, life continued as if the universe itself had forgotten them. But in orbit, the Aegis and the Argus Initiative prepared. Humans had one chance to show their worth. The first contact was not explosive, it was subtle. A scout ship entered Earth's orbit, invisible to most radar, cloaked by unknown technology. Yet humans detected it, not by strength but by intuition, by clever monitoring of energy patterns no alien expected. Marcus spoke into the comms. All units, status check. Identify the anomaly. I want eyes on it. Within minutes, Elena pinpointed the cloaked ship. Her fingers danced across the controls. I've got it. Not through force, through understanding. They're calculating, predicting our actions. We need to act, unpredictably. On board the Crimson Sovereign, Emperor Dorn watched with mild amusement. The little creatures react. Interesting. They do not tremble. They observe. Fascinating. The calm before the storm had arrived. The galaxy's most feared empire had noticed humanity, not as prey but as unknown. An unknown was dangerous. The first shot had not yet been fired, but the stage was set. One wrong move and humanity could be obliterated. But one clever move could change everything. A whisper passed through human command, "They think they know us. They do not." And somewhere deep in the void, a young Virexian officer shivered. The first act of a war that would shake the stars had begun. The first scout ship hovered silently above Earth, its sleek metallic surface refracting the light of the setting sun. To the casual observer it was nothing, but to Captain Marcus Hale and Dr. Elena Voss, it was a herald of doom. Humanity had been detected. The Virexian Empire, arrogant in its centuries-long domination, considered the humans a trivial species, easily extinguishable. On board the Aegis, Marcus paced the bridge, eyes darting across holographic displays of incoming ships and potential countermeasures. "They've split into 3 waves," he said. "Scouts, battle cruisers, and a dreadnought-class ship. If they attack together, we're done before we even fire a shot." Elena's fingers flew over the controls. "We won't fight them conventionally. They expect us to rely on brute force. But humans survive because we're unpredictable. We'll create a trap they can't anticipate." The plan was audacious. Using Earth's planetary defense satellites, quantum signal jammers, and experimental cloaking devices, humans devised a multi-layered illusion. They projected phantom fleets, creating the appearance of a massive planetary defense force far larger than reality. They altered energy signatures to mimic powerful weapons, even broadcasting false communications in alien frequencies. Marcus exhaled slowly. "If this works, it'll buy us time. If it fails, we're vaporized." Meanwhile, aboard the Crimson Sovereign, Emperor Dorn observed human activity with mild curiosity and growing irritation. "They mimic us. They attempt strategy. Bold yet naive." Lieutenant Vera, studying human transmissions, frowned. "Sir, their patterns, they're too coherent to be purely primitive. I detect deception. Subterfuge. It is remarkable." Dorn's 3 eyes narrowed. "Then let us see how far their courage takes them." The first wave of Virexian scouts descended toward Earth, expecting no resistance. As they neared orbit, they encountered what seemed to be hundreds of human frigates, bristling with weapons capable of annihilation. Energy readings suggested a planet-wide defensive network fully mobilized. The Virexian scouts hesitated. "These readings, they are impossible. The species is primitive. How could they marshal such forces?" one murmured. On the Aegis, Marcus held his breath. "It's working. They're falling for it." Elena's voice was steady yet tense. "Wait for it. Wait for the moment they commit." The moment came when one scout, believing itself to be ambushed by a human fleet, fired prematurely. The human systems, holographic projections and energy dampeners, redirected the blast harmlessly into space. A single counterstrike disabled the scout without revealing the Aegis' true position. On board the Crimson Sovereign, alarms blared. One scout destroyed, without apparent resistance. "Impossible." Dorn's voice thundered across the bridge. "Prepare the main fleet. Engage the humans fully. I want them crushed before nightfall." As Virexian battle cruisers approached, humans executed the next phase of their plan. Decoys scattered, cloaking fields shifted, and automated mines, derived from advanced Earth technology and alien reverse engineering, activated near the enemy's path. Ships that once thought themselves invincible now faced invisible threats, each strike carefully calculated to maximize confusion. In orbit above a bustling city, civilians watched streaks of light flash across the sky. "What is happening?" a child whispered, pointing upward. Marcus spoke into the comms. "Evacuate urban centers now. Use all civilian transports. The first phase is complete. Prepare for engagement." The human gambit worked because it was unexpected. The Virexians, relying on brute force and decades of predictable tactics, were thrown into chaos. Each misstep the humans orchestrated revealed the limitations of even the most advanced empire. Lieutenant Vera, observing from the Crimson Sovereign, felt a mixture of awe and fear. "Sir, their actions are calculated. They anticipate us, before we act. It defies logic." Dorn slammed a clawed hand onto the console. "Logic is irrelevant when one deals with primitive species that do not adhere to expected norms. Deploy the dreadnought. End this." But humans were already ready for that too. Using a combination of orbital interference patterns and newly developed gravity distortion devices, they disrupted the dreadnought's energy flow. Its first salvo misfired, creating a cascading chain reaction across the fleet. Explosions bloomed like flowers of fire in orbit, visible even from the surface. Marcus gritted his teeth. "We're not just surviving, we're shaping the battlefield. Keep pressure on them, Elena." Elena's eyes sparkled with determination. "We're showing them that humans cannot be underestimated. Each move they expect, we twist against them." By the time the Virexian main fleet engaged fully, human forces were already adapting to every strategy. Every feint, every deception, every unconventional tactic forced the aliens to reconsider what they thought they knew about primitive species. The battlefield had become a chessboard, and humanity, small, fragile, and underestimated, was playing several moves ahead. Back aboard the Crimson Sovereign, Dorn's patience finally broke. "Prepare boarding parties. Destroy their planetary control centers. If they will not be crushed from space, we will bring the fight to their planet." Vera's voice trembled. "Sir, their defenses, they are already anticipating our moves. They are remarkable." Dorn turned sharply. "Then we shall see if their brilliance withstands the full might of the Empire." Above Earth, humans readied for what would be the most critical moment yet. Direct confrontation with the Virexian dreadnought and its fleet. The gambit had bought them time, but the next battle would define whether humanity survived, or became extinct. And somewhere deep in the void, a whisper passed among Virexian commanders: "These humans, they are not what we thought. And perhaps, they cannot be defeated." The galaxy had begun to notice. And humanity, underestimated and overlooked, had just made its first move in a war that would shake stars to their core. The remnants of the Virexian fleet reeled from the unexpected chaos above Earth. Ships that had been symbols of imperial dominance now floated crippled in orbit, their energy cores flickering under the weight of miscalculations and human ingenuity. To the Virexian commanders, it was incomprehensible. A primitive species was not only surviving, they were dictating the battlefield. On Earth, Captain Marcus Hale surveyed the hollow map of the orbital theater. His eyes, tired but sharp, followed each enemy ship, each vulnerable node, each feint and countermeasure. "They're regrouping," he said, voice tense. "Dreadnoughts are recalibrating. They'll strike harder this time." Dr. Elena Voss leaned over the console, her mind racing through calculations faster than any human could imagine. "Good. Let them come. We've already prepared contingencies. Every system they rely on, we've already adapted against it. The more they exert force, the more predictable they become." On board the Crimson Sovereign, Emperor Dorn's rage was a storm barely contained. How dare these creatures survive what should have been total annihilation? Prepare the fleet for planetary assault. If they will not kneel, we will crush them where they stand. Lieutenant Vera, still awed by human strategy, spoke quietly to her commander. "Sir, their responses are adaptive. Each time we counterattack, they learn faster than any species we've observed. It's almost as if they anticipate us." Her commander scowled. "They are primitive. They have no long-range tactical reasoning. Stop imagining miracles, Vera." Yet even as he spoke, doubt had begun to creep into the minds of the Empire's officers. In the orbital defense hub, Marcus turned to his team. "Phase 2 begins now. We shift from defense to precision strikes. We hit where it hurts: engines, weapon arrays, command systems. We destabilize their formations before they can regroup." Elena nodded. "And we do it with minimum exposure. Ghost strikes, decoy fleets, gravitational distortions. They won't see us coming, until it's too late." The first shockwave came not from sheer force but from audacity. Human pilots in small, highly maneuverable interceptors weaved through the debris and ion storms that had been artificially created, launching precision EMP devices against Virexian cruisers. Engines failed, shields collapsed, and entire warships drifted helplessly while humans avoided direct combat entirely. From the bridge of the Crimson Sovereign, alarms blared as entire squadrons disappeared or were immobilized. Dorn slammed his clawed hand against the control console. "Impossible. They should not possess the capacity for coordinated strikes at this scale." Vera whispered again, fear lacing her voice. "Sir, they're evolving faster than we can respond. Their unpredictability, it's a weapon in itself." The human shockwave didn't end there. Orbital platforms deployed cloaked drones that launched across the solar system, targeting Virexian resource collectors, supply lines, and strategic relays. Every strike was calculated to sow panic, erode morale, and forced the Virexians into reactionary decisions. On Earth, civilians watched streaks of light flare across the sky. Families huddled in underground shelters, unaware of the human brilliance orchestrating the defense above them. "Is it war?" a young girl whispered to her brother. Marcus smiled faintly, though the weight of responsibility pressed down on him. "Not yet," he said. "But it will be, and when it comes, humanity will meet it on our terms." Meanwhile, news of the humans' resilience began to spread across the galaxy. The Corvan Federation, observing from nearby sectors, whispered among themselves. Admiral Rylish transmitted a secure message: "Humans, they are no longer insignificant. Their capacity to adapt is terrifying." Even within the Virexian Empire, the narrative shifted. Dorn's officers, though fearful to admit it, began to recognize an uncomfortable truth. Humans were not merely surviving, they were learning, anticipating, and exploiting weaknesses faster than any civilization had before. Lieutenant Vera approached Dorn cautiously. "Your Majesty, may I suggest recalibration? Engaging them with conventional tactics is proving inadequate. Perhaps dialogue?" Dorn's 3 eyes narrowed to slits. "Dialogue? With creatures that have no concept of order, no sense of hierarchy? No, they must be crushed." And yet, he paused, a flicker of something unfamiliar in his expression. "And yet, they are not like the others. This is different." The humans were aware of this shift in perception, though they could not yet see it. Intelligence intercepts revealed fragments of Virexian communications filled with confusion and awe. Humanity's ingenuity was sowing doubt and fear in the hearts of the galaxy's mightiest empire. As the second wave of Virexian dreadnoughts advanced toward Earth, Marcus gave the command: "All units execute Phase 2. Target their propulsion arrays. Channel every strike through decoys and stealth vectors. Tonight we show them humans are not prey, they are predators in their own right." Elena's voice came over the comms. "Remember, it's not about defeating them all at once. It's about teaching them that every time they strike, we adapt. Every move they make, we turn against them." The shockwave began. One by one, Virexian ships faltered. Some exploded in brilliant arcs of plasma. Others drifted, paralyzed. The dreadnoughts, massive and imposing, found themselves harried by invisible hands. Strikes that seemed to come from nowhere, pulling apart their formations, forcing retreats, forcing recalculations. Above Earth, Marcus looked at Elena. "They underestimated us. They assumed weakness. They assumed predictability. They were wrong on both counts." Elena's eyes glimmered. "And they will continue to be wrong. Until they learn what humans are capable of, it will only get worse for them." The first shockwave had not destroyed the Virexian fleet entirely, but it shattered their assumptions, their confidence, and their arrogance. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. "The humans of Earth, they are unlike anything we've ever faced." And in the quiet moments between strikes, Vera realized a terrifying truth. "Sir, we may have awakened a force no empire can contain. These humans, they are extraordinary." Dorn's rage and curiosity battled within him. "Prepare for total engagement. Leave nothing in reserve." And yet, his voice dropped, almost to himself, "Perhaps they are more dangerous than I imagined." The stage was set. Humanity had fired the first true shockwave across the galaxy. And the Virexians, the most dominant empire the stars had known, were beginning to fear the species they had once considered inconsequential. The war for the galaxy's respect and survival had begun in earnest. The Virexian Empire had suffered an unprecedented humiliation. Their scouts and dreadnoughts, symbols of invincibility, had been crippled above Earth. Yet even as their fleet regrouped, Emperor Dorn's fury burned hotter than ever. He could not abide a species that dared resist. "Prepare for the counterattack," Dorn commanded aboard the Crimson Sovereign. "Destroy their planetary defenses. Leave nothing standing." But humans were no longer merely reacting, they were preparing to strike back on the offensive. Deep beneath Earth's crust, hidden in the labyrinthine tunnels of the Argus Initiative, Captain Marcus Hale and Dr. Elena Voss coordinated a daring plan. The human fleet was small yet precise, using stealth, speed, and intelligence to outmaneuver a superior force. Elena's fingers danced across the control panels. "We know their patterns now. Every dreadnought, every cruiser, they calculate based on probability. But probabilities don't account for creativity. And we have plenty of that." Marcus turned toward the holographic map, projecting the Virexian fleet in real time. "We can't hit them head-on. But we can hit their supply chains, their energy nodes, their command structures. If we cripple the backbone, the body follows." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, whispers of humanity's audacity spread like wildfire. The Corvan Federation, long skeptical of Earth's primitive status, convened an emergency council. Admiral Rylus addressed the assembly, holographic images of Earth's defense operations floating before them. Observe carefully. They do not fight like other species. They adapt. They learn. And most importantly, they anticipate. At the same moment, the Virexian commanders debated their options. Lieutenant Vera spoke cautiously. Your Majesty, humans are dangerous in ways we have never seen. Perhaps, dialogue? Observation alone shows intelligence beyond their technological level. Dorn's 3 eyes glimmered with cold fire. Observation is insufficient. They resist, they adapt, they survive. That cannot stand. We will strike at the core. The humans' counterstrike began with a small, almost invisible strike force. Using cloaked jump pods, human ships infiltrated Virexian space undetected. Their targets were not soldiers or weapons, but infrastructure. Warp gates, energy relays, command centers. Each strike was surgical, designed to disrupt the Virexians' ability to wage coordinated war. From the Crimson Sovereign, Dorn watched in disbelief. Impossible. How do they infiltrate undetected? Our cloaking detection is flawless. Elena's strategy was simple but brilliant. Exploit the Virexians' reliance on technology and their arrogance. They think superior firepower guarantees victory. It does not, she told Marcus. They've never fought a species that values unpredictability over strength. The first major blow came when a human strike team disabled the primary warp gate near the Virexian staging area. Entire fleets were trapped, unable to retreat or call for reinforcements. Panic spread through the Empire's ranks. Dreadnoughts, once symbols of unstoppable power, floated in disarray. Status. Dorn barked. Primary warp node, offline, Vera reported, her voice barely above a whisper. Multiple cruisers trapped in transit. Losses, significant. Marcus and Elena monitored the chaos from Earth. This is Phase 2, Marcus said. We hit them where they think they're untouchable. Supply lines, energy nodes, warp gates. Every miscalculation we force now weakens them for the next stage. The Virexians tried to counterattack, sending waves of fighters and energy volleys. But humans had anticipated every move. Cloaked decoys, misdirected signals, and gravity distortion devices created illusions of vast fleets and omnipresent firepower. Every attack the Empire launched met a ghost, a shadow, a trap. Meanwhile, political ripples spread across the galaxy. Observers from the Nexari Collective and the Corvan Federation watched the events unfold in stunned silence. Even conservative sectors began to whisper. Perhaps humans are no longer a primitive species. Perhaps they are something new entirely. Back in Earth's command hub, Marcus and Elena reviewed intelligence feeds from captured Virexian communications. They're starting to fear us, Elena said. Every message mentions unpredictability. Every strategy fails against us. Marcus smiled grimly. Then Phase 3 will teach them respect. The next stage of the counterstrike targeted the Virexian dreadnoughts themselves. Using precise gravitational pulse emitters, human engineers destabilized massive sections of the enemy ships. Energy shields flickered and collapsed. Weapon arrays misfired, causing chain reactions that tore apart entire squadrons. Dorn's fury turned to disbelief. They are dismantling our fleet, without engaging in direct combat. What sorcery is this? Vera looked at him with a mixture of fear and awe. Majesty, they are not sorcery. They are humans. Their intelligence, it exceeds anything we expected. On the surface of Earth, humanity celebrated cautiously. Cities that had been evacuated now buzzed with the realization that their species had struck back, that they were no longer helpless under the shadow of the Virexian Empire. But the humans did not revel in victory. Each strike was precise, calculated, and temporary. Marcus and Elena knew the Empire would retaliate with greater force. The counterstrike was both a warning and a message. Humanity will not be dominated. In orbit, the remaining Virexian fleet regrouped, battered but not broken. Dorn's expression hardened. Prepare the ultimate strike. Total annihilation. If they resist, Earth will burn. And all who aid them shall fall. Yet even as Dorn plotted, he could not ignore the chilling truth that Lieutenant Vera whispered quietly to herself. We have underestimated them, and underestimation is deadly. The human counterstrike had done more than destroy enemy ships. It had rewritten the rules of engagement in the galaxy. Where the Virexians had once assumed weakness, they now confronted intelligence, cunning, and unpredictability. Humanity had proven for the first time on a galactic scale that they could not be dismissed. The first ripple of the human shockwave had become a tide, and the galaxy would never view Earth the same way again. The Virexian Empire had never faced anything like it. Their fleets were fragmented, dreadnoughts crippled, and their perception of humans shattered. No longer was Earth considered a primitive world. It had become a symbol of defiance, a spark threatening to ignite a galaxy-wide upheaval. Emperor Dorn paced the bridge of the Crimson Sovereign, the pulsing crystal floor reflecting his simmering rage. They fight not with strength but with cunning. They anticipate every move. Every strike, calculated, precise. This is unprecedented. Lieutenant Vera, standing nearby, remained uneasy. Majesty, we cannot predict them. They learn, they evolve. Their tactics are fluid. Dorn's claws tightened. Then we adapt. Total engagement. We will force their hand. And if they resist, we will destroy them. But humanity was already several steps ahead. Captain Marcus Hale and Dr. Elena Voss convened the Earth Council in the subterranean Argus Initiative. Holograms of the Virexian fleets, their movements and their vulnerabilities were projected across the chamber. They think the first shockwave was devastating, Marcus said. They think the counterstrike was enough to intimidate them. But the galaxy has eyes now. And the galaxy can be influenced. Elena leaned forward. We're not just fighting for survival. We're changing the rules. Other civilizations are watching. If we demonstrate strategy, cunning, and intelligence, we can shift alliances before the Virexians can react. The first move was diplomatic. Using captured Virexian communications and subspace signals, humans broadcast a message across nearby sectors. Earth is not a threat, but humanity will not be dominated. Any who attack will face consequences beyond imagination. The effect was immediate. Observers from the Corvin Federation and Nexari Collective paused, questioning centuries-old assumptions about human weakness. Entire sectors reconsidered their allegiance to the Virexians, fearing that siding with Earth's attackers might invite disaster. Meanwhile, humans executed a daring physical offensive. Using stealth jump pods, small human fleets infiltrated Virexian supply lines, mining operations, and strategic hubs across multiple star systems. One by one, dreadnoughts were trapped in gravitational anomalies, supply lines were severed and energy cores destabilized. From the Crimson Sovereign, Dorn roared in fury. Impossible. Our fleets should be unassailable. Yet they strike from shadows, from places we cannot reach. Lieutenant Vera whispered, almost in awe, Sir. They are not just surviving, they are dominating the strategic map without engaging directly. Their intelligence, it's frightening. In the midst of chaos, Marcus orchestrated a bold maneuver. A fleet of human ships, small and seemingly fragile, lured the Virexian main strike force into a trap near a densely packed asteroid field. Hidden orbital mines, gravity distorters, and EMP bursts awaited. As the Virexians advanced, their formation collapsed. Ships collided, weapons misfired, and dreadnoughts were immobilized. On Earth, Elena monitored the strikes, guiding every move with precision. We're forcing them to overcommit, she said. Every misstep they make strengthens our position. The ripple effect extended beyond the battlefield. Across the galaxy, lesser civilizations began openly aiding humans, providing intelligence, safe harbor, and resources. Even sectors long under Virexian control reconsidered the wisdom of blind obedience. Dorn, seething with rage and disbelief, realized the full scope of the challenge. This is not war in any form we've known. Humanity, they are reshaping the galaxy before our eyes. They are apex predators in their own right. The human strategy was not merely military, it was psychological. By exploiting the Virexians' arrogance and the galaxy's latent discontent, humans created a cascading effect. Entire fleets hesitated. Commands conflicted. Allies wavered. The very fabric of Virexian dominance began to fray. Marcus and Elena watched as the final phase of the operation commenced, a coordinated strike against the heart of the Virexian military command. Using captured warp coordinates, stealth vectors, and alien technology reverse-engineered on Earth, human forces infiltrated the capital system. They targeted supply depots, command centers, and communication hubs simultaneously. Explosions erupted across the Virexian system, ships disabled mid-flight and energy grids collapsed. The Empire's symbols of invincibility, once untouchable, were reduced to debris, smoke, and chaos. Dorn's fury reached its peak. Enough, he bellowed. Deploy the Annihilator fleet. Erase them from existence. But Lieutenant Vera hesitated. Your Majesty, they are unlike any species we've encountered. Total destruction may awaken something we cannot contain. They are extraordinary. Across the galaxy, humans had achieved something previously thought impossible. They had turned the tide of perception not just through firepower, but through ingenuity, strategy, and audacity. They had demonstrated that intelligence, adaptability, and courage could rival the greatest technological might in existence. As the smoke cleared, Marcus addressed the fleet. We've done more than survive. We've shown the galaxy that humanity cannot be underestimated. And if anyone, anywhere, thinks we can be crushed easily, they will think again. Elena smiled grimly. The reckoning is only beginning. But today humanity has proven it's no longer prey. We are apex. And we will make sure the galaxy knows it. In the command chambers of the remaining Virexian fleets, Dorn's hands trembled around the console. The realization had settled in. Earth was no longer insignificant. Humanity had survived, countered, and dominated in ways the Empire had never expected. And the galaxy had taken note. The stage was set for the final acts of conflict, diplomacy, and revelation. Humanity had ignited a chain reaction across star systems, and no empire, Virexian or otherwise, would ever underestimate them again. The Virexian Empire, once unchallenged across 10,000 worlds, now faced the impossible. Entire fleets lay crippled, warp gates destroyed, and their command structures in disarray. Emperor Dorn, seated in the throne of the Crimson Sovereign, struggled to reconcile centuries of domination with the audacity of a single-planet species. They anticipate everything, Dorn growled, his 3 eyes narrowing to slits. Every strike, every maneuver, they predict it before we act. Lieutenant Vera's voice trembled as she approached. Majesty, perhaps it is time to consider dialogue. Dorn's claws clenched. Dialogue? With a species that dares to challenge the Empire itself? Never. Yet even in his fury, Dorn recognized a dangerous truth. These humans were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Their cunning, adaptability, and unity had shattered assumptions about primitive species. On Earth, Captain Marcus Hale and Dr. Elena Voss convened with the Earth Council. Holographic displays showed the fragmented Virexian fleets, their crippled command nodes and vulnerable warp hubs. Everything we've done so far was preparation, Marcus said. The counterattacks, the infrastructure strikes. They've weakened them, but they haven't surrendered. The next move must be decisive. Elena nodded. We have one chance to force a permanent shift in the balance of power. A single, calculated strike at the heart of their command system. It will require precision, deception, and sacrifice. But if we succeed, we will not only survive, we will dominate. The plan was audacious. Human strike teams, operating under extreme stealth and cloaking technology, would infiltrate the Virexian command system itself. Using gravitational distortion fields, stealth jump pods, and decoy fleets, humans would isolate the Crimson Sovereign, sever communications, and disable its energy core. Phase 1 is the infiltration, Marcus explained. Phase 2 is the extraction and neutralization of Dorn's flagship. Phase 3 is the message to the galaxy: humanity is not to be trifled with. The first stage began as human fleets, small and seemingly fragile, slipped through fractured warp gates. They moved like shadows, unseen, untraceable, striking supply hubs and communication relays across the system. Virexian commanders struggled to respond, their own calculations failing against the humans' unpredictability. Inside the Crimson Sovereign, alarms blared as distant strikes disrupted energy relays. Dorn's fury boiled over. Contain them. Destroy every infiltrator. Lieutenant Vera's voice shook. Majesty, they are everywhere. We cannot anticipate their movements. Every countermeasure is anticipated, every defense bypassed. On Earth, Marcus directed the operation with a precision born of decades of ingenuity. They think the flagship is untouchable. They rely on arrogance and expectation. We'll turn that against them. Phase 2 began. Human strike pods, smaller than the Empire's most advanced vessels, slipped past shields and turrets, infiltrating the Crimson Sovereign's core. Inside, human engineers deployed quantum disruptors and precision EMP devices, destabilizing the ship's energy lattice. Dorn roared, a sound that shook the bridge and reverberated across the fleet. Impossible. How do they? No species should possess such audacity. Vera whispered, fear evident. They are beyond comprehension. Majesty, I think they will destroy us entirely if allowed. As the flagship's core destabilized, A brilliant pulse of energy surged outward, disabling the surrounding fleet's energy grids. The Virexian dreadnoughts, massive and imposing, were rendered helpless. Ships collided, weapons misfired, and formations collapsed. From orbit, human ships observed the chaos, coordinating strikes with unparalleled efficiency. "We've isolated the command," Marcus said, voice calm but intense. "Now we deliver the final move." Elena initiated the ultimate maneuver. Using gravitational distortion and energy redirection, human forces amplified the destabilization wave, causing the Crimson Sovereign's engines to overload. Energy cascaded through the ship like lightning, and in a spectacular explosion visible across the system, the flagship disintegrated. The remaining Virexian forces, leaderless and demoralized, began retreating. Across the galaxy, sensors detected the destruction, and whispers of humanity's might spread faster than any fleet could travel. Dorn, trapped in his final moments aboard a shielded command pod, realized the scale of defeat. They are not just survivors, they are apex predators. Lieutenant Vera watched silently, shaken to her core. "Majesty, we have awoken a species that cannot be contained. The galaxy has changed forever." On Earth, humanity celebrated cautiously. Cities lit up, broadcasts carried messages of unity and triumph. But Marcus knew the victory came with responsibility. "We've survived, yes. But the galaxy watches now. We must show that intelligence, cunning, and courage define humanity's path forward." Elena placed a hand on the command console. "We forced a reckoning. The galaxy will remember today. They will remember Earth. And they will remember, humans do not submit." The shockwave of humanity's final gambit rippled through political sectors, fleets, and empires. Alliances shifted. Fear and respect intertwined. A single species, once considered inconsequential, had proven it could outthink, outmaneuver, and outfight the mightiest empire the stars had known. In the silence that followed the battle, Marcus whispered to Elena, "They underestimated us. But now no one will ever doubt humanity again." Elena's eyes gleamed with a mix of relief and pride. "And from here we define our own place in the galaxy. Not as prey. Not as pawns. But as masters of our destiny." The final gambit had succeeded. Humanity had not only survived, they had ascended. The galaxy held its breath. For millennia, civilizations had assumed dominance, fought endless wars, and defined the hierarchy of stars. Yet Earth, once dismissed as a fragile, primitive world, had emerged from the shadows, its people proving something no empire had ever expected. Humans were extraordinary. The remnants of the Virexian Empire retreated into deep space, their dreadnoughts crippled, their fleets fractured, and their pride shattered. Emperor Dorn, once a symbol of unassailable power, had survived, but he was a husk of rage and disbelief. He understood at last that the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity was no longer prey, it was apex. On Earth, Captain Marcus Hale surveyed the newly established human command network orbiting the planet. Hundreds of research, defense, and communication stations now formed a web of interstellar presence. "We've won the battle," he said to Dr. Elena Voss, his voice steady but thoughtful. "But the galaxy is watching. And we have to lead with intelligence, not just force." Elena nodded, her eyes scanning the data streams. "Every empire, every observer, they've seen what humans can do. They've felt our resilience, our ingenuity, our unpredictability. But now it's time to define what it means to be human in the galaxy." The first step was diplomacy. Using the knowledge gained from the Virexian communications and galactic intelligence networks, humans reached out to nearby sectors. They broadcast messages of peace and mutual advancement, but with one unambiguous caveat: humanity would defend itself fiercely, and any aggression against Earth or its allies would be met with total retaliation. Across the stars, reactions were swift. The Corvan Federation formally acknowledged Earth as a rising power, offering trade agreements, technological exchange, and non-aggression pacts. The Nexari Collective, impressed by humanity's strategy and courage, extended intelligence sharing initiatives. Even isolated Virexian fleets hesitated, reconsidering their approach to a species that had turned the galaxy on its head. On board a Virexian command vessel drifting in the void, Lieutenant Vera reported to Emperor Dorn. "Majesty, humans are consolidating influence faster than we can recover. Entire sectors are reconsidering allegiance. Our empire is no longer the dominant force. We underestimated them, catastrophically." Dorn's three eyes glimmered with a mixture of anger and grudging respect. "They are formidable. We have awakened something no empire can ignore." Back on Earth, Marcus addressed a global assembly via holographic feed, speaking for the first time to representatives from across the planet and interstellar allies. For centuries, humans have survived against impossible odds. Today we have not only survived, we have demonstrated that intelligence, adaptability, and courage define our species. We will continue to explore, to defend, and to thrive. The galaxy will know humanity is not to be underestimated. Elena joined him, her voice calm but resolute. We did not conquer with brute force alone. We conquered with mind, with strategy, and with unity. Let the galaxy remember this. Earth is a beacon of ingenuity, resilience, and hope. And we will not falter. The final measure of humanity's ascendance came in a demonstration of calculated power. Using precise gravitational distorters and controlled energy pulses, humans neutralized several rogue Virexian warships attempting to escape into uncharted sectors. It was a warning not of total annihilation but of measured, unstoppable precision, a statement of supremacy. For the first time in the history of the galaxy, species and empires recognized that human unpredictability, ingenuity, and adaptability made them a force beyond conventional calculation. Earth had gone from a minor, overlooked planet to a linchpin of galactic balance. In orbit above the planet, Marcus and Elena stood aboard the newly commissioned Humanity Ascendant, the flagship of Earth's interstellar fleet. Outside the viewports, stars stretched endlessly, but humanity's presence was now unmistakable across multiple sectors. Marcus broke the silence. We've survived countless threats, adapted beyond what anyone expected, and proven our worth. But this is only the beginning. The galaxy now knows the truth: humans are apex. And it's up to us to ensure that knowledge guides peace, exploration, and progress, not just war. Elena smiled faintly. We've turned fear into respect, chaos into strategy. Humanity's story has only begun. The galaxy will remember today. And the species that once underestimated us, they will never forget it. Far across the void, scattered Virexian fleets pondered their next steps. Entire empires, observing humans rise, reassessed their strategies, their alliances, and their perceptions of power. For once, the galaxy had a new constant: Earth and its people. As the sun rose over Earth, illuminating oceans, cities, and mountains alike, humanity celebrated, but not in hubris. The trials had been immense, and the war had tested every fiber of courage, ingenuity, and resilience. But the message was clear: humans would survive, humans would adapt, and humans would rise beyond any expectation. The stars themselves seemed to acknowledge the change. In every sector, sensors detected signals of human ingenuity, fleets moving with precision, colonies preparing for expansion, and the unmistakable signature of a species that had claimed its place among the apex forces of the galaxy. The galaxy would remember: humanity had faced annihilation, turned impossible odds into triumph, and ascended. And from that day forward, no one, not empire, federation, or rogue warlord, would dare underestimate Earth again. Humanity had ascended.